What's the volume of a cone? Too slow. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen for the rest of your life. Anything, any volume in the world, is area of the base times height. Say that. Finished. That means if I give you this, which I will, if I give you this shape, and I say find the volume, because it's a creek, right? We're going to do creeks when we do integration. If I say find the volume, well, it's a creek, it's shaped like that, we'll find the volume, it's not going to be hard. I mean, find the area, that won't be hard. Rain happens, it obviously fills up 1 meter high. All you got to do is get the area you just found, times it by 1. Which doesn't change, that's volume. True? So volume of anything is area times height. Volume of anything is area times height, except your volume of your pyramids. Pyramids are actually 1/3 of the original volume of the shape. Every shape, if it hits as a pyramid, it's 1/3 of the original shape. That means if I had a cone, what was the original shape of a cone before it became a pyramid? No, you're close. Cylinder. It was a cylinder at first, right? Then, to make it a cone, you're taking the sides and you're pushing them in, pretty much you're squeezing the whole thing and it becomes a cone. Sounds good? So, what's the volume of a cylinder? Well, I just said it's area times height. Any area. What's the area of a base of a cylinder? Pi r squared times h, height. So therefore, what's the volume of a cone? No, I said it's 1/3 of it. 1/3 of pi r squared h. Understood? So if I came up to you again quickly, Alessandro, and I said, how do we find the volume of this shape?
1/3 times base times height.
Base of looks like a square, let's say, times by the vertical height. Finished. Don't make it harder than that, because that was either a cube or a rectangular prism. So how do we find a rectangular prism? It would have been the area of one space times by height. Yeah. And then for a pyramid, it hits an apex, it's actually 1/3. That's just how it works, mathematically. Good. Okay, so we've got 1/3 pi r squared h. All right. Show the volume is this. Well, okay. We know the volume is 1/3 pi r squared h. We can see it's got all these pi r squares. So obviously they would have substituted h. True? And again, before I continue this, because it's going to be very easy for 1 mark again, can you guys see with this formula how I've got 3 unknowns? 1, 2, 3. What's going to happen? You're going to get your 1 from question 1, sub it into h. Now this 3 unknowns becomes 2 unknowns. And then that's the one you're going to differentiate. And nice and easy. What's 60 divided by 3? 20 pi r squared. You know what I generally do. Once we know the answer, just copy it. 2/3 pi r cubed. Seriously, guys, you have to agree. Was that easy or what? No? Easy. Just the formula, but now you know for the rest of your life. 1/3. Come on. Tiana, you gotta memorize it. 1/3. That's it. There's only a few. There's only spheres, cones, or cylinders that you really see a lot of. Spheres are 4 on 3. Pi r cubed. 4 on 3. Spheres, that comes from circles. Squared, that's a surface area of a circle. Find the radius. I think I can leave that one with you guys. What are you going to do with double I? Tell me your steps. Don't do that. Don't do that to me. You're giving me a heart attack. Come on. Not make I, no. I don't like that.
Just do y dash first.
I like y dash first. Okay, so differentiate, make it equal to? Differentiate, make it equal to? 0. What letter will you find? R. Done. Full stop. That's your stat point. Then what must you do?
Determine the nature,
Then you go to determine nature. What should the nature be?
maximum.
And then you reread the question. What does the question say? Find the radius, but you've already found R. Finish. Once after your nature, you're done. Done.
Well, that could be like minimum, like let's say.
No, that means you did a mistake.
Okay, so then it,
As in, like, the question says max, but you found a min.
yeah,
Yeah, that means you did a mistake.
okay.
Yeah. Which is good. At least you know it's a mistake. Good luck. All you're doing is differentiating, making it equal to 0. Alright. You good?
Yes, go ahead. So now the only other one, that's the other way that you were saying. When you press in mode, you press 2, now you can press 2. You press shift mode. Shift mode. And every word put together. You press down. Is it put together? Yeah. And press shift. And you got X and shift mode up is
So but we have to calculate
and you put all X's on one side and the frequencies on this side.
so we have to do the frequencies before.
Yeah, of course. So you need to be looking something like this. Didn't do it. Yeah. I never got that. I didn't do it in the exercise. I don't think I did. I said, it's what I usually do in this we did do that. Something that you done that way. It's not transfer. The real way to do that is just text. And often I say it's this divided by this, the average. That's what we do. It's not really.
Start of course.
It says 40 pi r, good, minus 3 r squared, good, same, all three of the same one. Come on, you're trying to solve for r,
Yeah,
so you're going to factorize it, just the quadratic area, or quadratic formula.
but there's no C.
So C0.
Can you just use it?
Yeah, of course. A is negative 3 pi, B is 4 pi, 40 pi, and C.
But write R equals. Don't just do it in your head like that.
Yes,
And one thing,
is correct.
yeah,
31 square meters, correct.
okay, and could you show me the last question?
In one building, on 10 floors, in one building, in single second story of water. What type of water is this? In one building, on 10 floors, 1.8, so I'm 5,800 liters of water. What type of water is this?
What is the name of water drop in the world? Water.
Because the capacity of it is 31,000 liters.
Yeah.
So if it was 58, what drop in water was that? It would be 58. Number 31, 31.
And then that's the inside.
Why is the same here?
Oh, because then you convert it.
So you're trying to put over this height. That the wording. You can put it this way. Seriously, it's just the word. I don't know.
I know.
Yeah, the word's bad. What drop in the water level? So pretty much is at 1.3. How much did it drop by? So what's the mean height it's trying to say? You've got to find the height first. H.
Of that.
Of,
Red line.
Of that, from you know the volume is 5,800 liters, correct? You want to take it in case? Yes. You good? Yeah, you good. Just check your calculator, but you good. Yeah.
You know that sort of about pandas?
And there's Luke.
I think, when I was looking at him filming and what did he say? I just am not saving them. I'm like, okay, I'm not. Oh, I'm like, yeah, I am. And he goes, no, I'm a Pisces controlling your life. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm an Aries. And then he goes, oh my God, now I know why. You're the god of destruction.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
what the hell? You're fire, why do you know this?
All right. That guy, interesting. Let's do it. V. dV on dr equals 40 pi r minus 2 pi r squared. Oh yeah, why did you have 3?
Should be two.
I think so.
Yeah.
Is that fine for everybody? It's annoying because now everything changes. Equals 0. I'm going to factorize r, but you could have factorized, you could have just jumped into the quadratic formula if you feel more comfortable with it. R equals 0, which doesn't make sense. 40 pi equals 2 pi r. Pi and pi cancels. What does r equal to? 20. And then we have to do our nature. You're not writing y double dash though, right? You're writing it like this? Yeah, try not to. It just doesn't look good eventually for you. Because like extension 1 students, for example, would definitely not be writing y double dash. They'll be very strict. And because of that, we'll know straight away you're an advanced student. You don't want to do that. You don't want to. 40 pi minus 4 pi r. And then at 20, 20 times 4 is 80, 40 take away 80 is negative 40 pi, which is less than 0, which is a max. Finished. How many marks was that? 4 marks. Meant to be easier than it happened for you, unfortunately. But similar conclusion, did you still get it?
Yeah, still got it.
Yeah, I was going to say. See, yeah, but it's unfortunate. Out of 2, you got 1. Oh, yeah, you differentiated wrong. Tricky one. Maybe, see, this is the case. In your HSC, if you're working out looks good, you've written dV on dr, you've written d squared v, everything looks good, you might have got 4 marks for that one. 2 out of 2. Benefit of the doubt. We go, the only problem was a 2 or a 3. Did he make the question easier? And no, the 2 is easier than the 3.
Yeah.
Because the 3 you have to do the quadratic formula. The 2 you can just factorize.
Yeah.
So because you've made the question harder, we can't do anything other than give it to you. That's good, but you can't rely on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Joe, you good with it? Feeling comfortable with this topic?
Yeah.
Cool, all right. There you go, your favorite, which we won't do. But there it is, just so you guys can see it. A function is there in the domain. Find the stat points, nature, points of inflections. Sketch the curve. 8 marks. Oh, that, you know that will be in your test, right? 100%. Let's do this one. Hey, look, that one looks like this is HSC paper, if you remember it. This is HSC was a rectangle and a quarter of a circle. That's a rectangle and a semicircle. Yeah. So, same concept. How many marks? 5. Do we need anything from the top? Lisa has designed the garden bed. No, nothing from the top. All right. Pretty much. I think you guys know it by now. Like, what's I? It's going to say find H in terms of R. What's double I? To find area in terms of R. What's triple I? Find the maximum area. All right. Talk to me. If that's H and that's H, this is R. So what would this whole length be? 2R. And then what would be the top bit, this arc? What's the circumference formula?
One, just pi r.
Yeah, so it's 2 pi r. But because you're going to times it by half, it becomes pi r. And then, of course, it's just pi r there, as you said, because we're using r anyways. All right. And it says the perimeter is 20 meters. Find h in terms of r. I think you guys can do that one. Go ahead and start that. I can definitely see what's letting you down with this topic. Maybe even you. I can see it. So just so you know, I think before you leave today, let's write down all the area, volume, surface area formulas and just keep it. Just keep it with you. Take a photo of it, keep it on your phone, keep it on your wall, whatever. That's actually letting you down. Because it looks like everything else you can do, just that you can't start it. Now if we can just get that starting point, I think you guys are good. So we'll write that. That's okay, come on. Tell me what you would write for I if you get it out. Tell me your answer so I can write it up for everybody. Did you get something?
Yeah, but I'm done.
How do we know?
Yeah,
How do we?
just like trying to.
No, but I'm saying you won't know, right? In your exam, how are you going to know if it's right? So, yeah, you won't know. So go tell me. What do you have? Tell me your first line, bro. Tell me your first line.
2h plus 2r.
2h plus 2r plus
Another 2r.
pi r. No, why another 2r?
For the whole thing?
But the whole thing is this and this and this and this.
That's why.
Yeah, perimeter, just the outside.
Yeah, that's why.
Outside in this question, sometimes it might be this as well. I don't know, right? Depends on what you're building. 2h plus 2r plus pi r equals 20. And then 2h equals 20 minus 2r minus pi r. Divide everything by 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. H is 10, take away r, take away pi r on 2. Pi r squared is area.
It just looks like a 2.5 over the pi.
Sorry. Cassandra, why are you looking like that?
No, I'll just do what she said.
Oh, right. Show that the area of this garden bed is by this. Okay, wait. How do we find the area? The area would have been h times 2r. H times 2r plus half pi r squared. And then obviously, what are you going to do? Sub in h. So please try your absolute best to get the result out.
We just like write whatever it is.
Say it again?
We just like write whatever it says on there. And then just skip it.
When you've subbed it in,
Yeah, we-
in this case you can't, because of the plus half pi r squared. The fact that it becomes minus half pi r squared, that means there had to be something there that was like negative 1 pi r squared plus half. You can actually show that there.
Oh,
So you got to do one extra line. You can actually expand it, and then if this half wasn't there, then yes, I would have said no problems. Once you subbed it in, just write the answer, because we can tell everybody can expand. But to expand and simplify, because you got to simplify, no, you won't get full marks. But then again, it's only 1 mark. But again, you know, I mean, if you're talking about HSC, we would be like, oh, this person knew to sub it in and stuff. They probably know what they're doing. Especially if you get triple I out. If you get triple I out, that means you would have got double I out easily. If you don't get triple I out, that means you're not a good student. We would have had to come back up and double I and give you a 0. See how we mark? Sorry? These are all question 9s and 10s. So that means band 6. Well, you don't want to be a band 6? Yeah. All right. Sub it in. This is what it would be. A equals 2r. 10 take away r, take away. You don't see these questions at the beginning of the paper. That's just how they work. 10 times 2r minus 2r squared minus 2 on 2 is cancelled out, minus pi r squared plus pi r squared on 2. And then at this stage, Lissandro, you see how it's minus 1 pi r squared plus half pi r squared becomes negative. Then you can rewrite the answer. There. Tell me. Will I have, when, at what stage? This stage? This one here? Up here? This? This bit here? When not before I differentiate, is that what you're trying to say? Or just at this stage, like now? Because this question was a show. I showed it.
Oh.
Like why? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like why am I doing what you're saying? I was confused. Yeah, that's it. Showed. Done. And what are we going to do with triple I? As if you're reading.
Why does that? No idea.
Why you shouldn't even read it, and you should know what to do.
About nature.
Y dash equals 0, then do nature. Come on, as if you still.
Why double dash is in there?
I know. The first, Y dash, stat points, then nature. Stat points, then nature. All good. I need to do that on a new page, obviously. So 20R. Josh, Natalia, you guys are okay with all this so far?
Yep.
Yep, sounds good. Natalia, have you seen the previous videos as well?
No, I watched them.
You have gone through them?
No, I haven't been through them, but I'll watch them soon.
Okay, you'll need them. You'll need to. trying.
So can you go back to like opposite?
This one? Or
To the other same question mark.
all good? So what we've got to do with this now, we've got to differentiate, make it equal to 0, and then find its nature. So dA on dr equals 20 minus 4r minus 2 times half is gone, just pi r equals 0. What would you do now? We're trying to solve for r. I would, because it's not a quadratic, I would move the 4r and the pi r over, because I would like to keep it positive, but you could have done what you just said. There, it's positive. I would factorize my r out. Therefore, r equals 20 on 4 plus pi. What's the next step? Nature. Come on, come on. dr squared equals -4, negative pi. What's -4, negative pi all the time? Less than 0, which means it's a max. Then we stop, we go back, reread the question, find the value of r, and hence give this area to the nearest mirror. I'm not done. I have to actually give the area now. So, therefore, max area equals 20, let's just call it r, where r is, what's this as a decimal? 20 on 4 plus pi, 2.8. So 20r minus 2r squared minus pi r squared on 2. The maximum area is this. (28) on the dot to the nearest meter. Any questions? That does make sense. Let's go again. I want to do that, but I think you guys still have to work on your max min. Anyone still copying? Yep. Still copying? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, circumference equals 2 pi r.
Well,
Don't be frightened, don't be scared. Area equals pi r squared.
that's so weird. I want to see that in my people.
Oh, you're a funny girl. All right. Time, shipping. I think one more. One more. I was hoping, but you guys are still stuck with just doing stat points and nature. So I'll see. I really want to. One more. This one right here. If this can be done a little bit more flawlessly, without me interrupting too much, then yes, we'll move on. And then it can just be revision as we do homework, I'll give you homework on this every week, and you won't forget it at least. Maybe draw the circle or draw the sector, because there's no diagram. Let's say worst case scenario for everybody. If you can't do I, do double I. That's all I'm going to say. So don't waste time. It's been about a minute and a half. If you still haven't done I, move on. Yeah,
The spread of IQR
correct. Full range.
and the location is
Location is usually like medium. Usually. I'll start with I. The area of a sector of a circle subtending an angle of theta to the center is 100 centimeters squared. That means I would have had this. Correct? And then which formula for a sector did you guys use? Just so we know we're on the same page. Tell me. Yeah, that is area. Okay. Pi r squared. Area squared has to be. But what's the other one you could have used? Half r squared theta. That's what you got taught this year. So which one did you guys pick? You chose half r squared? You chose the other one? Which one? Theta on 361? Majority. But I would have, I think for you, I think you'll be like, I think the one you chose is probably a bit more efficient in the course you're in now. But that's okay. I would have also chosen those because I don't want to memorize yours. But since you have chosen yours, I think it's a good one. Anyways, I'm going to continue. A equals, you said theta on 360 degrees times pi r squared. Now we know the area is 100. So 100 equals 100. Finished. Show that the perimeter of the sector can be given by this. Don't forget this is degrees. Show the perimeter of the sector. Okay, to find the perimeter, we know that is R plus 2 pi r times theta on 360 as well. True? So that becomes r plus r, which is 2r, times, so plus 2 pi r times theta on 360. Okay, when you compare the perimeter you have here to the perimeter that they asked you to prove, what's the only thing that has to disappear? Theta. So instead of making theta the subject, you know what I'm going to make the subject? Theta on 360. Because isn't it the same in both? That's pretty clever, isn't it? So I'm not going to make theta the subject, I'm going to make theta on 360 the subject. So that means theta on 360 from here is equal to 100 on pi r squared. And by any stroke of luck, we should be done. 100 on pi r squared. 2 times 100 is 200. Pi and pi we should cancel out. R and squared should cancel out. I think we're done. That was pretty clever, wasn't it? Instead of doing theta, you could have done theta, because then the 360s would have cancelled out. But just a bit smarter to just do it as theta on 360. That wasn't hard. It's not hard. You just haven't done enough of it. It's coming soon. Double I. Find the radius. Give you guys another 5 minutes. Get it out. Come on. What's step 1? Equals 0, and then step 2. And what should the nature be? Minimum. Good luck.
Is having the smaller spread better or having a wider spread? Because
Depends on the context.
it's about basketball for two people.
For 2 people.
Yeah, one has a higher range, a bigger range,
Bigger range, which means
a higher median.
yes. Higher median is good. Higher range is not good. Because that means
Then the other guy has lower range,
yes.
shorter range, and then but a lower
So median.
medium by one.
But you know why that means it's good, kind of?
Because all
That
those
means
ones
it's
that
pretty
it takes-
consistent.
Exactly.
It depends on how you see it. What do you mean by good? But I think what we're looking for in math is more consistency. So we want a smaller spread. A smaller spread means, what's the word I keep saying? Consistent. You will be consistent.
Yeah.
That's it.
So the shorter one would be better.
The idea is if Dylan had a consistent math spread, English spread, mark spread, that means Dylan is very consistent. If he doesn't, very inconsistent. What do you have to do with that r that's in the denominator before you can differentiate it? You got to make it a negative power. That is funny. Come on. So P, before you start, you needed to remember it had to look like this. Then dP on dr equals 2 minus 200 r negative 2 equals 0. What do we do to the r negative 2 now? 2 minus 200 on r squared equals 0. What do we do to the r squared now? Times everything by r squared. There we go, we're getting the hang of it. What do we do to the 200 now? What do we do with the 2? What do we do with the squared? R equals 10. It says find the radius, so you're technically done. All we need to do now is show that it's a minimum. So d squared p on dr squared. Bring the negative 2 down again from this one up here. That's 2's gone, so then that becomes 400 r negative 3, which becomes 400 on r cubed, which means it's 400 on 10 cubed, which means this number is always greater than 0. You know, you're done. Easy. Easy.
So the first one.
Yes, thank God you admitted that. It is that. It is just the first part. The second part's not meant to be a problem. That's why I keep saying stop stalling in the first part. At least get your marks in the second part. Then come back up and do the first part. If you feel like you're stalling. Don't stall. All right, we'll leave it there. Let's talk about our